So we've got 6 fresh updates on the Galaxy S26 Ultra, and for once, it looks like Samsung is finally delivering on what we've been asking for all these years. What's up guys, Sal here. Now I know what you're thinking. It's way too early to talk about the S26 Ultra leaks. And you're right, the S25 Ultra just hit the shelves and the S26 Ultra won't be launching until January next year. But we've already got some pretty solid leaks from credible sources, and trust me, they're worth discussing. Let's start with the battery. Samsung first introduced a 5000 mAh battery in its Ultra lineup back in 2020, and it hasn't changed since. That's 5 years of the same battery capacity, while other brands have moved ahead. But the S26 Ultra might finally break the cycle. According to Universe on Weibo, Samsung is increasing the battery size on the S26 Ultra. And they're not just making it bigger, they're adopting silicon carbon battery tech, which allows for higher capacity without increasing the physical size of the battery. That's a huge deal because they won't have to make the phone thicker or heavier to achieve this. How much bigger are we talking? Well, the exact number isn't confirmed yet, but based on rumors, it's likely going to be 5500 or maybe even 6000 mAh. Knowing Samsung, they'll probably go with 5500 to keep room for future upgrades in the coming years. That said, while Universe is a trusted source, it's still early. Samsung is likely testing multiple prototypes with different configurations, and they usually finalize the design about 6 months before launch. So while this battery upgrade seems very likely, especially since Chinese brands have already started using silicon carbon batteries, Samsung being Samsung, they might wait for Apple to implement the tech before jumping in. Hopefully that won't be the case because a bigger battery would be a direct and much needed improvement in user experience. If Samsung does increase the battery capacity, it only makes sense for them to also improve charging speeds. Currently, they aim to keep charging times around an hour for 0 to 100, and with a 5500 or 6000 mAh battery, 45 watts just won't cut it. Reports from South Korean media suggest that Samsung is considering bumping up the charging speed to 65 watts. Again, it's not confirmed, but the pressure is on. Even big tech reviewers like MKBHD have called out Samsung for lagging behind in charging speed and battery capacity, so this might finally push them to make the upgrade. Next, one of the more controversial rumors floating around is that Samsung is testing a prototype of the S26 Ultra with an under-display selfie camera. But let's be real, that's not happening. Under-display cameras still have terrible image quality, and there hasn't been a breakthrough in this tech that would justify using it in a mainstream flagship. In fact, Samsung is considering removing under-display camera from the Z Fold 7. So if they don't want it on their foldables, why would they include it on the Ultra? Exactly, they won't. Expect the S26 Ultra to stick with the usual punch hole selfie camera. Now let's talk about the rear cameras. Will Samsung make any big changes? Well, according to some reliable sources, they are planning to use a bigger sensor for the 200 megapixel main camera. The megapixel count will stay the same, but the sensor size increase is what really matters. But here's the most exciting part. There's a rumor that Samsung is considering swapping out the 50 megapixel periscope zoom camera for a 200 megapixel periscope sensor. This rumor isn't just wishful thinking, it comes from a well-known tipster, and we've already seen Vivo do something similar with impressive results. Vivo's 200 megapixel periscope camera delivers insane zoom quality at 3.7x and beyond, and Xiaomi is also rumored to adopt a 200 megapixel periscope sensor for its upcoming Xiaomi 15 Ultra. If Samsung goes this route, it would mean a huge jump in zoom performance. The combination of a 200 megapixel main sensor and a 200 megapixel periscope sensor could set a new benchmark for mobile photography, especially for zoom shots. Vivo's implementation of this has already proven to be game-changing, so if Samsung follows through, the S26 Ultra could dominate in zoom photography. Fingers crossed this rumor turns out to be true. Also, Samsung is set to launch the S25 Edge in April. Surprisingly, this phone might be better than we expected. If you want to check all the details, click here to watch the full video, and I'll see you there.